All right, so today we're going to be continuing to work in Adobe Animate. And for this lesson, we're going to use the tutorial materials that Animate provides. If for some reason you can't open those up, I'm going to have a blank document copied up in Schoology that will have those materials that we need for this tutorial. So I am going to share my screen. So when we have our Adobe Animate screen, this is what we usually see. We start here, we say create new, all that stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the Learn button right up here. And in Learn, there's going to be a whole bunch of tutorials. And you may want to try some of these. And again, if for some reason your version of Animate doesn't have these tutorials, which it should, but if it doesn't, it's okay. I'm going to be copying it out to you. But what we're going to start with today is Pig Run. So it's really great. I'm going to walk you through it. It takes about 5 minutes, but it's pretty cool. And the reason why we're doing this tutorial is because it's going to work with the movie clips, and it's also going to start having us think about using different layers and backgrounds and things like that. So this window will open up for you, little directional kind of window, and it'll tell you what you're going to do, and you just say next. And then the first step is you're going to add a background. And so when you have a bunch of, well, you know that up here we have the properties tab, the library tab, where when you make things in the document, it gets put into the library. But then there's also the assets tab. And what this tutorial is asking you is to find the background. So it says type in sky into the find field. Of course, nothing is showing up, but then it tells you to expand the static section. And so this would be like where your flat, non-animated, non-moving images would be. So we've got our gray sky background. So I'm just going to drag and drop it in. And you'll see that we had layer 1, which had nothing on it. And now we've got gray sky.png. So I'm going to follow the step, and it's going to say next. And then we're going to fit the stage to window, little direction right here, which means we're going to come up and we're going to say fit to window, say next. And then we have to align the background. We need to make sure that the background is properly aligned on the stage. So I'm going to do that right now. And so it's there. And then we're going to go next. We're going to add the animated asset. And this is going to be the pig that's running by. So I'm going to clear sky from the search box, and then I'm going to put in pig. And of course, there's nothing in the static, but in the animated, there it is. So we've got the running pig asset. So I'm going to drop it. And they're telling you to move it so that it's just above the ground. So something like that. And then we'll follow it along. It says next. Expand the animation span, and basically it's just saying how many frames do we want in this animation. So I'm going to go to frame 50, and it says insert frame. So we can say insert timeline frame. And of course now there's no background because the sky doesn't have a frame over here at 50. We need to do the same thing on the sky layer. Insert timeline frame. Then it says to delete layer 1, which we're not using. So I'm going to select it and then hit the trash icon. Then I'm going to say next. And they want us to preview the animation. Okay, so I'm going to say control, test movie. I'm going to test it in a browser. And it should pop up. And so this is what we've got. So it's working, but it's not moving. So let's go back and make it move. So you'll see that after we tested it in a browser, it gives us an output dialog box down here at the bottom. It tells you what's going on and everything. We just need to click back to timeline. So you guys know that if we come back here on the running pig in the keyframe, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Let's go to like 75%. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. I'm going to move him over here. And then he's not moving, right? Because you know that we need to add a keyframe at the end. So I was saying insert timeline keyframe, but also this is the shortcut button. So I can just highlight frame 50 and then click on this button and it'll insert a keyframe. I don't need to do a keyframe on the background because the background is static. It's not going to move. So now here in frame 50, I'm going to move the pig, the bacon, and the egg over here off of the stage. So I've got it here in frame 50 and here in frame 1. So now what I need to do is we need to create the tween. And we have been saying insert. We've actually been doing this, insert, create classic tween or whatever, by clicking somewhere in the middle. So if we say insert classic tween. But there's also a button for that. So if I move to frame 1 and highlight this first frame on the running pig layer, right here next to the I guess basically the frame selection and the onion skin thing is a tweening button. So I hit that and it inserted the tween automatically. So now this is what we've got. So let's take a look at that. Although this time I'm not going to preview it in a browser. I'm going to go Control, Test, and now it's going to open it up in a separate window. Well, okay, it's in the browser, that's fine. And there we go. It's running across, but of course it's not very realistic. So what we're going to do is now, again, after doing the output, I'm going to go back to timeline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to frame 50, and then I'm going to say, come to frame 100, and I'm going to insert a keyframe there. And on the background, I also need to insert a keyframe. It could have just been a frame, but it doesn't hurt being a keyframe. So now in frame 50, the pig is going that way. So in frame 51, I'm going to insert a keyframe. And now I'm going to take my pig, I'm going to go modify, transform, flip horizontal, because we're flipping it on the horizon line. And now I'm going to come to frame 100. And actually, I'll have to do that again. Insert, modify, align, or transform, flip horizontal. Probably should have done that before I made that extra keyframe, but not a big deal because there's only this one element. And now from here, I want to move it onto this page. I'm sorry, onto this side of the stage. So it starts over here and it ends over here. And remember, now all I have to do is come to the beginning of, and that's the thing. If I'm clicking here, it's not going to really work, but I got to come to the beginning of this new animation. And then I just hit this button right here, which will insert that tween. So now what we've got is he's running this way, then he turns, runs this way. And so now let's see this. Let's go ahead and test that movie. I'm going to make it a little smaller just to make it seem pretty cool. So that's all right. Now, one thing that I want to show you now that we've got it, he's running back and forth. That's great. But I want to go into a little deeper detail about how these assets are built. And so, for example, and by the way, so now the tutorial is over. And actually, what we just did is in Running Pig Tutorial 2, which you probably saw there at the beginning. So you don't have to do both of those unless you want to. You can stay in this one document, and you can either follow along with this video, or you can finish Running Pig 1 and then do Running Pig 2, and it'll get you to where we are. So what I want to do, I'm going to end this tutorial and I'm going to keep this workspace. I'm going to stay here for just a minute because I want to talk about these assets. So for example, here's our running pig. So let's go to our library. And when we go to the library, it's only going to have the things that we used in this document, which are the gray sky, the running pig, and the assets or the elements they used to build the running pig. So we've got the bacon face, the egg white spots, the hand, the hat, and the shadow symbol. So let's take a look at that. Remember that in your library panel, when you click on something, you get a preview, but also when I click on the running pig, I can hit the play icon and we can see what it's going to look like and I can stop it. But by double clicking on it, I can open it up in the editing window and we can actually see what or how this thing was built. And we can see that there's a lot of layers, right? So we've got the hat layer, the face layer, all that kind of stuff. And we can see as we move along, these were drawn. So there are shapes. So for example, I shouldn't do this, but technically I could grab this color and move it out on frame 27. But my point is, it's just a drawing. It's a series of drawings that when we hit play, creates this animation. And you'll see that it ends. So the legs of the pig are up in the last frame and they're up in the first frame. And that's how you make a smooth, seamless loop of animation where the beginning frame and the end frame are identical, basically. So it works. So my question is, what if I went through and wanted to edit this running pig animation? Well, let's see. What if I wanted to use it basically without what if I wanted just the pig and not the animals? I mean, I'm sorry, the bacon and egg. What if I just wanted the pig running by itself? Well, let's see. If I go to the hat layer and delete it, and I go to, let's see, what's layer 3? That's an arm layer. Delete. I'm just deleting these layers. There goes the bacon face. There goes the front leg of the bacon. There goes the bacon. There goes the egg spots. There goes the egg. And I want to leave that. There's a bacon leg layer. And I want to get rid of the bacon arm. And there's a hand. So now the pig is by himself. So the problem is, if I go back if I just go back, it's going to change all the instances of this pig, right? Well, let's find out. Yes, now my pig is running by himself, but I've also changed the animation. So now that I've got that, all I really have to do is go back to my assets and put the running pig in again. And so I can put duplicate in, it says it already exists. So I can either say don't replace, I can say replace, or I can put duplicate items into a folder. I'm gonna put the duplicate items into a folder. So now I have my original running pig. So let's go back to my library. I've got my running pig, and also I can change the name. I can say running pig alone. And I can also go back and edit this without having to place it again. I can do that by control clicking on running pig and say duplicate. And this one I'm going to call running pig alone. Oops. And then I'm going to come back and you see that it still does play. So now under running pig alone, I'm going to double click and I'm going to do what we just did. So I'm going to get rid of the bacon arms. And so now I've got my pig that's alone. Okay, so let's go back to the scene. And now on frame, actually I'm going to make a new layer. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to put in the running pig alone. And I'm going to move his keyframe up to here. And now I'm going to give him another keyframe right about, what did I say? Let's say 140, 141. Let's go to 140. So I'm going to make a keyframe. He is going to be over here. And then, of course, I need to add a keyframe for the background, but not for the other pig. And then I just need to click on this frame and do the, whoops. And I can remove these frames by control clicking. So I'm going to come here and I am going to, since I'm in the first frame of the new running pig alone, I can go ahead and click on that tweening. And so now my movie, if we test it, now it's looping, but that's it. And if I really wanted to, so let's just say I want to extend the end time where the pig is gone and the viewer is not going to think the pig is coming back. So all I have to do is move the keyframe for the gray sky or insert a new keyframe for the gray sky like here. So let's take one more look at it. Back. And he's gone. So we could also end it, make it not looped, but that's fine. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. All right, so what I want you to do is follow through with that tutorial and do basically what I just did. And then, if you would like to, actually you need to, after you've got the basics down, then I want you to create your own animation using the theory of having an animated movie clip and then having a background, having some motion that goes on and basically trying to tell a story. I know a couple of you have done videos that are pretty close to that already, but not everybody has. So if you already have some level of mastery on Adobe Animate, then just make something more spectacular. But remember, you're going to save it as a SWF file, and then you're going to copy it up to me. So I'm going to walk you through the saving one more time. So if this is my movie, I can go File, Export, Export Movie. And when I do that, it's going to churn through for a second. And then it's going to give me the SWF. So I would call this Troxel Pig Run.swf. Save it. And then you can email that up to me, attach it in the Schoology assignment, etc. All right. We're getting somewhere with this animation. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. So if you have any questions, just rewatch this video. And don't forget, you can do the tutorials in Adobe Animate. So see you in a little bit.